Hi, Mike Matchett with Small World Big Data, and we are here with KX talking about data that comes in the shape of time series, which is almost all data when you really think about it. Everything is time-stamped. But how do you deal with massive amounts of time series data? We've got a couple of folks here. We've got Kathy Schneider, who's the CMO of KX. Welcome, Kathy.
Hello.
And James Corcoran, who's the SVP of Customer Value, I guess is your title right now, isn't it, James?
Yes, that's right. Thanks, Mike. Great to be here.
Okay, let's start out. We don't have a couple hours to get into everything about time series databases, but let's just start with a little thumbnail of why time series data is important and how it's becoming more important to this faster moving hybrid cloud world.
Sure. Let me take that one. I mean, as you said, Mike, in the intro, so much of today's data is time series, especially in the world of machine generated data. Every record, every piece of data has a timestamp attached to it. And this is more and more volumes of data, different data streams being generated by all these machines, no matter what part of the world you look in. So time series is becoming a part of our life, and in particular, sort of the mining of the historical time series combined with the operational side of the processing of real-time event streams is the space that's really hot right now.
And what relational databases can't keep up? What, they index data? They can index on time field. What's the story there?
Yeah, for sure. I mean, relational databases have a place, in today's world and in the future going forward. But I think, when it comes to time series, you really want to be using a purpose-built time series platform to handle your data streams that are natively time series. You want something that's basically infinitely scalable, particularly if you're deploying on the cloud. And the key thing that makes time series databases stand out, I think, is sort of the columnar nature of event streams and how they're all mapped out on the file system. So you want to choose the right tool for the right job, of course, in any sort of data or application landscape. And I think we'd advocate for a time series platform being part of an overall data architecture.
Yeah, we know that there's a lot of real-time streaming. I think people are pretty familiar with what happens with you have a real-time data stream and you're looking for an event or something in that stream as it goes by. But when you want to do an aggregation over that time series or you want to join that time series data with other data, you need to get it into a database of some kind. So that's really what we're talking about here.
Yeah.
So Kathy, tell me a little bit then about KX and KDB and KX Insights. What's going on at KX Technologies to meet this need for time series analysis?
Yeah, well, it's an exciting trend that we're seeing going on as more businesses outside of kind of where it started, financial services, realize how important time is in terms of speed to make decisions, right? So you've got the time series data on the one hand is the type of data. And then the other trend is the speed at which you're able to analyze data, inform historic data, and make decisions, right, quicker and quicker. In the case of financial services, the typical use case around trading, is really easy to imagine, where, you got to the milliseconds, microseconds that you're making these trades. In other industries, that's also important. If you think about operation lines, especially now with so many more devices having sensors on them all through production, elements all through different industries. So where we have a fantastic heritage is in the financial space. And as James was mentioning, the power of KDB Plus as a time series database, I think, is pretty well regarded. And how you extend that into these other industries and to the data scientists, the data engineers, developers in these other industries is really the journey that we've been on. And so that's where a couple of things come into play, right? KX Insights as a platform that we've introduced, as well as it being cloud native. And that is also related to the strategic partnership that we've done with Microsoft in order to have the KX Insights on Azure as something that we can, make it really easy for clients to get the power of KX.
All right, so KX in the database that you guys serve is now also going to be something that we can get as a cloud solution from in the Azure cloud. This is pretty cool. So not just download it or embed it or do other things. I did have a question, and maybe it's for James. When we look at the suitability of a time series database, particularly the ones you guys have, KXDB, is it an edge database or a cloud database, as Kathy was introducing, or a data center database? Where should people be thinking about how you architect a time series data structure?
Sure. So, I mean, I think the hybrid architecture is the one which we enable, very, very well. I think time series, by its very nature, lends itself to hybrid architecture because you're typically either generating data or capturing data on the edge. In sort of a manufacturing scenario, your edge could be, multiple different manufacturing plants, all over the world. And then, of course, you want to stream data and insights back to the cloud. But in a sort of a low latency environment where you want to get insight into what's going on in your operations, really in real time or as it's happening, you want to be able to make decisions at the edge. So the KDB Plus, for example, is very, very lightweight technology. Is very deployable at the edge, and whether that's a sort of an edge device or a sort of a scaled down rack in a small data center on prem somewhere. There's a very strong case for deploying time series analytics in that scenario. But equally, what you want to be doing is streaming both raw data and insights and derived calculations back to either a central data store or indeed the cloud. And I think technologies that can span both the edge and the cloud will be very, very popular in the future.
And also tell me a little about the ease of adoption. If I'm familiar with relational databases, I might be even familiar with big data databases and some of the things that are going on there. How hard is it to really then move into using a time series database?
Sure. So, I mean, we've concentrated really, really hard to make that adoption curve as smooth as possible. And in so doing, we've introduced support for SQL and Python. So you can query data in SQL. You can build sophisticated models and machine learning models using Python and embed those directly into the database. We've got sort of two flavors now of our offering. So we've got our core product KDB Plus, and you can really take that to implement a sort of a custom data-driven application, perfectly suited to your needs. And then we've got KX Insights, which runs in the cloud, and that actually standardizes a lot of the architecture and automates a lot of the data management, so that you're straight away starting on building your models or writing your queries. So you got
right. So KX Insights is really a faster on ramp that you're coming out with to help someone get right to. They can pump in their existing data and start to play with the time series views of what's coming out of it from an analytics perspective.
Exactly. Yeah, we've concentrated as well building a lot of connectors, to various different things like Kafka and MQTT and various different data providers. So it should be easy to pump data in.
All right. Maybe this is a question for Kathy. So who are you aiming to have adopt KX and KXDB and KX Insights? Is this small companies, large companies, particular verticals? Who's a good target for your technology?
Yeah, so when we look at the market, we look at it in terms of the business problem and the use case, and it does span various verticals, various markets. But there's a lot in common, right? In that we're looking at where you have enormous amounts of data coming in from a variety of sources, for example, as well as changes in volatility and the need for bringing that together. You've got your event stream coming in, as well as the historic data that you already have, right? And then where also they're trying to operationalize that information and make decisions. And so very naturally, financial services has been a focus, but also outside of financial services in particular, we've been focused on manufacturing because of IIoT, energy and utilities. We have had telecommunications as an area we look at. So these are some of the spaces that we're focused on.
All right. And so really almost anyone with critical time series data that you can probably help here. And it sounds like there's an awful lot of ways to consume the technology solution that you have, whether it's embedding something or using it as a cloud service or so anywhere in between. So really a lot going on there. Let me just ask, as we're sort of running out of time here, if someone wants to follow up more, maybe learn more about time series database technologies, maybe get their hands on some of this and try it out or look for the use cases on there, where would you send them to first? Where would you steer them towards?
Yeah, well, we have our website, kx.com, where they can get all kinds of information. And in fact, if they want to even join the community, and there's some learning courses that we offer, free introductory, they can also navigate to there. So
Okay.
they can, anyone interested can either read use cases and examples of how we're helping clients and learn it from that perspective, or go in and really get right into the community, talk to other developers, do an introductory workshop and actually see it. And then, of course, you can also contact us and we can set up a demo that we could do that as well.
All right, so lots of great things coming down there. Another kind of database for those of you out there who haven't been thinking about it that you should look at, because you've probably got time series data that you're not exploiting fully, right? Thank you for being here today, Kathy and James. I look forward to seeing some more details as things come out here, and I'm looking forward to that Microsoft release here coming up. But thanks for being here today.
Excellent.
Thanks,
Thanks, Mike.
All right, take care. Check it out.